We have made many videos about how to create a unique style. Do this, do that, try these things. We've made loads of videos on it, but we've never actually put our money where our mouth is. That's what we're gonna do today. So the premise for this video is that we're gonna take a riff, this riff, and we're gonna make 5 different songs out of that one riff, but we're gonna give ourselves a few rules. The first one is that we have to stay inside of rock. We can vary into a few different things, and we have varied into a few different things. One of the things that we're gonna create is a little bit indie influenced. There's a few that's a little bit grungy, dirty influenced, but we are staying within rock. We have to use that riff in some capacity. We have, for some of the examples, changed the strumming pattern. So without further ado, let's just get into it. Here is style number 1. So for this one, we wanted to just kind of do the riff because we didn't want to add any extra stuff. So what we have here is 2 guitars, panned left and right, playing power chords of the riff. And we have a central guitar playing single string of the riff and bass playing the riff. Here's what it sounds like. Style number 2. For this one, we wanted to pump a bit of energy into it, a bit of up-tempo-ness into the song. So what we did was we actually did 2 different sections here. We did it as if it was the beginning of a song, and we start with just a snare and whackers. Does that have a technical term? I always say whacker.
Mutes, isn't it?
Mutes. Okay. And some mutes. Whackers. And then halfway through that, the riff comes in itself, and then halfway through the entire thing, we go big, and rhythm guitars come in playing chords, bass comes in playing along with the chords, and the riff goes up an octave. Here's what it sounds like. Number 3. For this style, we've gone a little bit different with it. We've decided to slow it down a little bit, and bass was the first thing that we took the riff to. We just got the bass and took the riff and went, okay, how do we do something different? So the bass part is doing the notes of the riff, but more staggered. Here is what the bass part sounds like on its own. That partnered with some grooving drums sounds kind of cool. Then we added some heavily distorted but kind of bluesy guitars on, in which we have 3 tracks all playing different things. One to the left playing chords that is kind of staggered. One to the right that is playing kind of a melody but also not really a melody and is just kind of following what the bass is doing. And one to the center that is essentially just soloing. Here's what it sounds like. Again, we started on bass. The bass is doing the majority of the work in this track. It's doing the majority of the strumming, and it sounds more like the original riff than probably the last 2 examples have. We only have 2 guitars, one panned entirely to the left, one panned entirely to the right. One of them is doing a pedal point, where it is just doing an octave of D and D, where it's just playing it and playing it and playing it, and it doesn't change at all. And then we have the other guitar, which is kind of following what the bass is doing, but a little bit looser and without the strumming that what the bass is doing. And the drums for this one are doing a double hi-hat thing, which sounds a little bit more indie than what all of the other tracks do, but because it's kind of still dirty, it's still kind of rock. So here is what that sounds like. Number 5. For this one, we went loose. We went kind of almost Sex Bomb style, where it's a little bit more laid back and it feels a little bit more like people jamming rather than like a fully tight song. So the drums here are doing a snare on most beats, but aren't doing it as tight as what we did in style 2. And it's a little bit kind of loose with how everything's going. Everything, that is the bass and the guitars, are playing the same thing, but they are doing their own style kind of thing. The strumming pattern of both is kind of fluctuating and different each time they do it, and it's just not totally random, but it's loose. It sounds like this on purpose. Both me and Joe kind of like the style of some artists that have this kind of loose feel. A lot of blues artists will use this kind of feel, but in the film Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, there is a band that Scott Pilgrim is in called Sex Bomb, and they have this kind of style of loosely playing, and that's kind of what we want to emulate with this. Here's what it sounds like. Now, the reason why we made this video is to show you that you can take a very simple idea like the riff that we started with at the beginning of this video, and you can mix so many different things just from that one riff. So if you are in a band and you want to have a unique style, there's a chance that when you've written a riff or written a chord progression, there's a chance that the first thing that you played, the first idea that came to your mind, might not be exactly what you want, but that doesn't mean that you need to scrap it and start with something different. You can take the idea that you have and you can change it very slightly, like we have for the past 5 styles. You can change it and evolve it and morph it in different ways, changing how you play it, changing what you use to play it, changing what accompanies it. There is so much that you can do with a simple idea to get so many end results. So the conclusion of this video is essentially experiment. Do what we've done today. Take different styles of different instruments and just try them with your ideas, because there's a chance that you will actually come across something that sounds really cool and that's the sound you want to go with. You wouldn't have found that sound if you didn't just play random shit, essentially. If you wanted to see more of our lovely faces, Joe is here, then you can click on one side of the screen. It's been so long since I did this that I don't remember what side of the screen it is. Also on the screen is our best of playlist. It's got good shit in it. Joe's just, you're a camera operator now. Have a nice Christmas, and we will see you next week where we're going to do the good stuff, and we're going to do a live stream. Watch out for live streams. I will let you know when live streams are happening, because they're going to be happening. Bye!